Hi, I'm Hans from the music duo Hans and Denise, and today we're going to be going over different audio setups for live streaming music. So just a disclaimer before we start, this video is not meant to be a guide on how to use these audio setups, but more so to inform you of what audio setups there are for live streaming music. Each setup will need some research on your part to find the perfect fit for you, but I want you to have the knowledge of what options you have. And with that in mind, let's get right into the first setup. So the first setup we're going to be talking about today is the USB microphone. And this setup is best used when you are a solo performer, you don't have much audio gear like mics and cables, or you have little audio experience. The pros of this setup are, it is the cheapest since it has the smallest amount of parts, it is the easiest to use, making it beginner friendly, and it is the most portable out of all of these setups. The cons of this setup are, the volume of your instrument relative to your vocals can only be controlled by how loud you play, how loud you sing, and how far you are from the mic. Another downside of USB microphones is that they do not come with their own effects. There's a video by Harris Heller that goes over how to put audio effects on a USB microphone that I can link in the description below. If that's something you're interested in, go check it out. Moving on to our next setup, we're going to be talking about the USB audio interface. You're going to want to use this setup when you want to have more volume control over your vocals relative to your instruments, as well as when you have more audio gear such as mics, cables, and instruments that you want to plug in, and when you have a little bit more audio experience. The pros of this setup are that instruments and vocals each have separate audio channels with different audio controls, allowing you to mix them as you please. Also, smaller interfaces are more compact and portable and much better for solo performers, but you can invest in a larger interface if you need more channels to accommodate for more performers and more instruments. The cons of this setup are that there are no effects, just like the USB microphone. It is more expensive as you will need microphones and cables, and there are more channels to watch over, which increases the time it takes to soundcheck the volume of each input. The next setup is the current setup that Denise and I use for our streams, which is the USB mixer. You can choose this setup when you want to use the onboard effects on your mixer while also having the benefits of an audio interface. You can also use this setup when you have extensive knowledge of audio gear and audio effects. The pros of this setup are, unlike USB microphones and USB audio interfaces, USB mixers have the ability to use audio effects such as compression and EQ. USB mixers can also accommodate more players and provide more control through its various effects. Some mixers can also save your volume and effects settings as presets, which you can load, saving time when setting up. The cons are that mixers themselves can be quite pricey in addition to needing mics and cables for every person playing. And just like the USB audio interface, you have more channels and effects to watch over, leading to a longer soundcheck unless you have the ability to save presets. The next setup is using an analog mixer in conjunction with an audio interface. This is a good option if you have an analog mixer without USB capability, but you want to use that board for your stream. You do this by taking the main left and right channels of your analog mixer and running them directly into your audio interface. This essentially achieves the same thing as a USB mixer, but with more cords and more things in your signal chain. The pros of this setup are that you use this the same way you would a USB mixer, it's just set up a little differently. And if you already have an analog mixer, a USB interface, or both, it saves you money. The cons of this setup are, analog boards do not have the ability to save presets like a USB mixer does. There are also more volumes and gains to keep track of between your mixer and interface, so watch out for peaking from both your mixer and your interface. Overall, this is a more complex signal flow, so it may take some time to set this up just right. The final setup is the use of an audio interface or mixer with a DAW or DAW, such as Logic, Pro Tools, or Ableton. You want to use this setup if you have a wide range of knowledge of your audio gear and plugins, as well as an extensive knowledge of signal flow, as well as when you have a lot of audio gear and audio plugins in your DAW that you want to use on stream. The pros of this setup are the ability to multi-track record while streaming, the ability to use any effects currently in your DAW, such as EQ, compression, and reverb. You are able to create audio templates and presets, and you have the option to live stream audio production. The cons of this setup are that it can be annoyingly hard to set up correctly because it has a very complex signal flow to connect your stream to your DAW. Also, mainstream DAWs such as Ableton, Logic, and Pro Tools can be expensive, though Reaper and Cakewalk can be great free alternatives. This setup is also very reliant on a computer with good enough specs, since it can be very taxing on a computer's CPU. Latency also happens to show up depending on the speed of your computer and your audio interface. And this is theoretically the most expensive setup with the combination of equipment and software. And that's my list of different audio setups for live streaming music. I hope you found this information helpful, and subscribe for more audio streaming tips, music talk, as well as covers and original music from Hans and Denise. Also, if you want to watch us play music live or watch us produce, follow us at twitch.tv/Hans and Denise. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye!